I think how they respond to this on the field, on the actual practice field, and their leadership and how they carry themselves going forward, I think that's something that we will look for. And I think that's really important for us to continue to evaluate throughout the course of the year. I always come back to this. The game has purity to it, and the way that people respond is going to show up on the practice field and on the game field. So, we want leaders out of that position. The thing I've really challenged each one of them individually on is when you're on the field in a practice rep, you are the starting quarterback at Notre Dame, period. And conduct yourself in that manner, lead in that manner, and then when you're off on the side and not taking the rep, encourage and just like you would if you were the backup was out there. You know what I mean? From the standpoint of leadership and correcting guys and helping out young players, and picking each other up. So I really want to see that in practice. Obviously those conversations, they talk about a lot of possible scenarios. You talk about, where each individual coach from their position group or, their leadership within the offensive structure, like Coach Denbrock, how each quarterback really impacts their area. And I think that's a neat thing about our staff is that Coach Denson can really talk about how the quarterbacks impact the run game and or impact the communication with the running backs, and then the offensive line. Obviously there's a ton of communication that happens on a play-to-play basis, so Coach Easton can really give some input on that, and then Coach Denbrock from an overall offensive standpoint and with the synergy with the receivers. So there's a lot of those types of conversations that happen, and obviously I'm not going to get into the details of them, but we're able to talk as a staff with Coach Kelly about the pros and cons of each quarterback. As a coach, we're wired as coaches to try to prepare for a multitude of defenses that could show up, in the game plan to game plan. I think the same holds true with situations is, in the off season, and I'm at a baseball game with my son. I'm thinking about the possible scenarios that could play out, to be quite honest. And and you kind of try to think about how each individual is going to react to that, and how to best help each individual quarterback to respond in a way that gives them the best opportunity to be successful themselves. Well, I've learned a ton. I've learned a ton from Coach Kelly. The thing I learned from him every single day is this is a head coach that, he's kind of been through everything. 26 year now. There's really not a situation that he hasn't experienced in some way, shape, or form. So, I have a chance to follow his lead in terms of he really sets the decision or this course of action for the program, and you see why he did that. And a lot of it's because it's actually rooted in experience of going through that before. So that's been a complete breath of fresh air. Just as I've gone through my career, and worked for a lot of really good head coaches, but definitely none that have been a head coach for more than 20 years. That's really good. And then with Coach Denbrock, I think what he's done here at Notre Dame is really established a great culture of communication, of accountability within the offensive unit and within the offensive coaching staff. And he also, creates a great open dialogue and open forum for both he and I to talk, back and forth about how we see things going. And Mike Denbrock's an unbelievable offensive coach. I learn from him every day. So, and even a better human being too. I think the one thing I really like about guys like PJ Fleck, like Jim Harbaugh, is they're gonna be a head coach and lead in their own personality, and the same holds true here with Coach Kelly. The guys that are really good head coaches are typically the ones that are really authentic to who they are, and I think that's when you see things like that with Coach Fleck, that's who he is. He's an unbelievably energetic, creative mind that's not too removed from the players in terms of age. So he's not gonna pretend like he's been coaching for 45 years and listens to Motown singles. He definitely is a lot closer in age to those guys. So I appreciate it. And of course I try to, in my own way, I try to coach to who I am as well. So it's not. My experiences have been different because I grew up as a coach's kid. So I've watched my dad, who's been coaching for over 35 years. I think the kinship I feel towards him is myself having played at Boise State. And that's actually, I digress. That's where I met him. I met him the first time Western Michigan was playing in the famous Idaho Potatoes Bowl, and he came up and hung out with their offensive staff during their downtime. We're in their game planning for Arizona for the Fiesta Bowl, and he just hung out. We were bouncing ideas off of him, and I was really drawn to his overall, just energy and creativity, and he was awesome to have around him. Here he is, a head coach of a up and coming Division I football program and developing power in the MAC conference, and he just wanted to sit in and be a ball coach and hang out with the Boise State offensive staff as we were getting ready for the Fiesta Bowl. So that's where actually our relationship did actually begin. So, but I do feel that kinship with him because of the similarities with a Western Michigan and a Boise State. Very up and coming, creativity. You have to be an outside the box thinker, and Boise State's really set the standard for the last 25, 30 years of being that outside the box thinker, and it started with the beautiful turf, and yes, I do love that turf. Yeah, I mean, I think the experiences that I personally have had a chance to be around with my dad over the years. I've seen how he and other great coaches that he's been around have responded to situations, whether I was cognitively recognizing what was going on, or I just kind of learned through osmosis. I had a chance to pick up a lot of that. And then the other thing too is it comes back to just coaching and leading through who you are, and I think that's the biggest thing. Not trying to be somebody I'm not. Not trying to handle the situation outside of what my values and what my beliefs lead me to. So that's the biggest thing more than anything. So. I haven't done my research of all teams out there, but the progress that Brandon Wimbush has made from last season to spring ball to now is absolutely mind-blowing. Unbelievable growth, and his knowledge of what we're doing, the physical, mechanical part of it within the structure of our offense for him is all starting to come together, and I get so excited every time he goes out there because you get to see the value of those reps that he got last year. He struggled through them mightily. He was asked to run a very sophisticated offense and really didn't know much of what was going on. And then he got really 12 weeks of reps with the twos throughout the season last year. And now to see those really all start to pay major dividends towards his growth is so encouraging. It's so exciting, and he's coming along. I think the biggest way to keep him engaged is through film study within the context of our offensive, our quarterback meetings. Just keeping him on his toes, and he likes the challenge of it. But I think if you give a young player or a player that isn't necessarily right now the starting quarterback the opportunity to kind of hang out and get comfortable and complacent, then they don't grow. So I try to put him on the spot a lot, and it's good too because it also allows Malik, Deshaun, and the other quarterbacks in the room to kind of see how he's going to respond. And then if he responds incorrectly, then they're all ready to jump on it. So we do a lot of that in the quarterback room. We talk through a lot of the reads and progressions, protection checks, everything we do. So and then in practice, coach him hard. The reps he gets individually, coach him hard. Let him know that every rep he's taken should be evaluated as a game-like rep. I think the best way for us to handle their psyche is to remind them that every time that they step on that field, practice or game, they need to be the best version of themselves. And this, this is not nothing is set in stone for 12 to 14 weeks. I mean, of playing football. And they have to have the mindset that I'm going to be a professional when I step on that field, and I'm going to be a leader when I step on that field. And anything short of that, you're playing with fire. And so they gotta have that mindset. And every time that it looked like I was gonna have an opportunity, I was on the headset signaling the plays in and helping coach that player at Boise State, which was Jared Zabransky. Every opportunity that it got close to maybe, hey, we might make a switch, 60-yard touchdown bomb, touchdown Broncos. I'm back to being mud. So.
Could even get the EA Sports cover a couple years later.
Yeah, no doubt. Although I was the starter on the video game that year, so I take that with me to the grave, which is a heck of a deal. And I was.
At least you had that. These guys aren't that anymore.
I was pretty good.
Did you get your check?
I don't know. They couldn't find my address. I've had 52 of them, so it's been a little ridiculous. But yeah, that's definitely something I told them. Like, hey, you can say that all you want, but like, guys, listen, you're gonna have a chance to play like on games, like on game day. You're gonna have a chance to actually go out and prove your mettle. Like, that's way better than the alternative, and I know the alternative. So absolutely love the depth of our running backs. Absolutely love that group. I mean, you got a Dexter Williams right now that's progressed so incredibly well. Josh Adams, who from the very beginning of camp last year, he's special, to say the least. You have Tarian Folston, who, when not having to put the entire workload on him, can be an unbelievable hammer for you, and a very, very intuitive, great instinctual runner, with zone schemes and power schemes. And then now you got Tony Jones coming in, who's got a lot of similarities to Tarian in his style of running. So that's a great new development for the Irish, to say the least. I think I've known from the time I met them that they both are really, really, really competitive. I learned that more as the year progressed with Deshaun than I probably did when I first got here. And I think the thing about Malik that I've learned over time is that he is probably one of the most, if not most, competitive players that I've ever coached. And when channeled correctly, when channeled in a positive manner, when he's in that place of enjoying and loving the game of football, that's when he plays his best football. When he gets out of that love of the game of football, I've pointed out to him that's when it starts to affect his play. And so far in camp, as camp progressed, he started to get back to that place. So I'm going to have fun with football. I'm not going to press so much. I'm not going to get so hard on myself, from play to play. And he's definitely progressed in that area. Yes, the answer is yes. He's really. There's been times throughout camp where he's really flashed, but then there's been times where he's still learning through it. He didn't get all those reps that C.J. Sanders had throughout the course of the season last year, but the answer is yes. I mean, he definitely has made some strides, and Coach Denbrock's done a great job getting him to speed. He does have the ability to make some pretty insane catches, and he is an effective runner with the football in his hand. So the more and more that he gets confidence in just the knowledge of what we're doing, the better and better he'll be.